I'm going to read 3 poems tonight. The first poem I'm going to read is from my first collection, Monberg, which I wrote while at the University of New Brunswick. And basically, I'm really bad for getting lost in places, and I wanted to write a collection that forced me to engage with the first place I lived besides my hometown. And so I wrote a collection about walking around Fredericton. I picked this poem though, not knowing that Toronto has had the latest spring season in a long time, because I thought the peonies would be out now. And I didn't have, my mom's like, trilliums are out. I'm like, yeah, but I don't have a poem about trilliums.
We'll pretend they're out.
And it has an epigraph. When we are very bad, what would they do to us? Peony. It's hard to tell who's in charge of peony and ants' symbiotic economy. In myth, peony's pure loner genius, scrapper with a scalpel, healing mortals and demigods alike, till his teachers question their callings and plot his death, and the gods deign to free him from his better's bloodletting ways. Lazy peony basking, secure in loamy earth, metamorphosed from doctor to decoration, tightly packed atom of pre-flower can't burst open alone. So it's up to the ants to do the dirty work, dissecting, discerning what to leave on the stalk, their mandibles picking away at nectar-coated green. Such tiny plastic surgeons exposing beauty, a lush blush firework, a taffeta abundance. The gods saving, condemning, petty planners, bitter children of divorce, dropping matches, spitting from balconies. For them, peony is a mere game gone awry, a lesson. Only heal those you can control. Always make the payments steep. And that comes from a myth about how Peony was a doctor who healed the gods and demigods, and then they didn't like the power he had, so they turned him into a peony. I like myths. Even like dark ones where it's just like, what lesson? Like that's why I started to think about what lesson are we to take from that, and that's why I got to the end. Don't heal those who have a lot of power over you, because they won't like that. Thanks, Mom. I'm reading for my second collection now, One Thing Then Another. A lot of my work has centered around how to make homes as an adult in different places. And this one centers around moving from one of the wettest, poorest provinces to one of the driest, richest provinces. And I went from like Fredericton, which even though it's a capital city, it's very small in population and it's very much like a capital town, I like to say, to Edmonton, which is a city, and dealing with just complete changes in speed and population and environment and having to get used to that. But this poem's about a friend I left in a bad state when I moved, and the title is taken from the chemical for heavy water. D2O. A friend is losing his soul 3 time zones away. I don't even believe in souls, but he's losing something. He lives within a dampness that keeps people sodden and secure, reasonable. Like their innards, what's outside their bodies is mostly water, so they can't forget where they came from. I went to grade school near a Candu nuke plant, and at 12 learned of heavy water. Can't remember anything about it now, just that some water at atomic scale must be easier to carry than others. Where my friend calls home, cars all fall to pieces from salt and rain, and here they keep going light as empty water skins, could take off from one side of the river and land with a cloud of rust on the other, their chassis sloughed to bird bone. But my friend feels heavier without his soul, that I can't think of another word for, his not soul. Like some nemesis hated emptiness, so spat on a sad iron and sutured it inside of him. Now he's a pulp and paper mill burning down near the dank earth, which is too far away in a country that's too big to be of any help. They're not all happy guys. I'm gonna end with a longer piece that I started reading. We calculated it started writing 9 years ago, and basically I started to think about when our society crumbles, and with what we've done to the environment, and with what we're going to be seen as cursed people. And our objects are going to be seen as cursed objects. And people, I imagined a sort of scrap man whose job it is in the world to take those cursed objects away. And the title's taken from Virginia Woolf's Between the Acts. Tick, tick, tick went the machine in the bushes. The old saying plump in his ears, red sky at night, scrapmen take fright. Red sky in dawn, scrapmen are calm. So he pitches a camp at pink dusk, gulps a lungful of moisture, vapor on the tongue, knowledge of storm paths, rain that's cheekbone driven or that gusts between shoulder blades and sends his rucksack a-clattering. The man with the past in his pack, he's a noise that everyone avoids. With each footfall or windburst, always that discordant, rackety echo, the world is not sweet in the end. He remembers honeycomb sweetness, but also the sting and the sleep of deep-breathed smoke. What of the din? Sound so overlapping it seemed monolithic, but was divisible, like damn near everything is, down to a single mortuary bee, bearing the dead away from the hive, more dead than a hive. Pull the machinery apart, pull it apart. The ground a tip of cursed sprocket, of doohickey, of chrome carnage. Pull it apart and take it away. Some had been told of palaces of tile and copper where instead of squatting like a pure toad in the scrubland, people sat and shat, bathed in battery-suckled handheld light, the sin of mass diversion, before having their hands sudsed and sprayed down, before paying alms to hot air, palms up like a beggar's. Mostly his old folks jogged through post-harvest smoke, the smoke of tight rooms, the hearth hot from fires ever stoked, constant cooking mixed with winter smells, windows shut tight, bodies musky most days, more than musky on others, dried herbs hung high, and damp clothes placed near the heat, overpowering anything subtle, until all talk turned to good and evil, prized and untouchable, morals and scraps. How it was plain wrong to owe things allegiance you wouldn't pay to another. Your own lover couldn't light you up that way. So he keeps on hauling, on his shoulders the straps digging in, as he carries another sack full of smithereens, metallic forgottens, untalismans, west and away, for good and always. Thank you.